All right, good evening, everybody. I think it's maybe evening for you. Who knows? We're giving a little try for this virtual gala for the Center for Women in Transition. It's a great privilege to be here with you. My name is Father Chris Collins. I work at St. Louis U. I'm the assistant to the president for Mission and Identity, and I'm really honored to be able to be drawn into the celebrations here for CWIT this year. And we thought what we might try to do here is to highlight several different people. I'm not really being honored. I think St. Louis U, in a sense, is being honored within this celebration because we have a lot of different folks that are doing a lot of great work with those who have been incarcerated and have come out of incarceration and looking for ways to be of assistance in any way. It's kind of unique, I think, what St. Louis U has going here. So that's part of what initiates this. So. And maybe just a brief thing. So I work out of the president's office and try to get to know a lot of different faculty and staff, and especially what they're doing in mission-driven ways in the community. And soon after I started that role, about 5 years ago, little by little, I started to get to know different pockets of the university, different people, totally different disciplines, but who are all working in overlapping ways to serve those who either are currently incarcerated or have been incarcerated, and to look for ways to be of support from a variety of different academic angles too, and different disciplines. So as I started to kind of get a broader sense of that, I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. So we try to have opportunities for people to get together both within SLU as well as a lot of our nonprofit partners and governmental partners in a variety of ways, and CWIT certainly being one of them in the early days. So that's a little bit why I'm here, and to be able to just try to continue some of these conversations. So, but thought we'd have a little bit of a conversation here, and a little bit of sharing about what people, not only the kind of work that they do, but also a little bit of a personal reflection about what this different kind of work has meant to them, and what the continued needs are, and maybe the places of light and hope, and maybe places of ongoing challenge or discouragement, whatever you might want to reflect on a little bit. So I'd like to start off with Tracy here, and if you wouldn't mind, tell a little bit of your story, and I think you might help set up the whole conversation for us. So thanks.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Tracy Stanton. Before I give my list of things that I'm involved in, first I just want to inform everybody of who I was before I came in contact with Center for Women in Transition. So I came home from prison in October 2017, very fragile, very unaware of what my next steps were going to be. And I was able to come to Center for Women in Transition and build a foundation that was actually started by TJI, by SLU's TJI program. So now I can tell you I am a board member of Center for Women in Transition. I'm a program facilitator with the Institute for Peace and Justice, where we address women's problem-solving capabilities to women at the Center for Women in Transition and the Shermer House. I'm also a presenter with the Clark Fox Family Mass Incarceration Initiative, and I even affiliated with the TJI program in the background a little bit. And I also work as a bail disruptor with the nationwide organization, the Bail Project, where we post bonds for people that cannot afford them, that are held in pretrial detention. So basically, I was in prison in 2017, and before I got sent to prison, I was in the workhouse. And there was an amazing program that came in and gave me that hope when I did not have any hope, when I didn't even know if I could stay clean at that moment. I was just so shaky and unaware and afraid of my next steps. But that program, it was called T2E then, but and they dropped that bit of hope in me. So when I came home in October 2017, I knew that I could not go back to the same environment, or else my outcome most likely would have been the same that it had been for years. So I got connected with Center for Women in Transition, and the moment that I realized that they were going to accept me, I knew then that my life would change, and it has changed drastically. Oh yeah, and I'm also a student at St. Louis University as well. So I'm very, very grateful for CWIT and this program. And so the first job that I was able to get that helped propel where I am now was actually through a program that Lisa Khan heads, and that's the Second Chance Job Fair. That's actually where I got connected with St. Louis University, and the people there were just amazing about accepting me and who I am and my background. They knew everything about it, and that is what basically started the cycle. So basically, with everything, with everyone, with all of these, with the efforts of the community, the collaboration of the community, you see the amazing, fabulous woman that I sit here before you today. And I'm very proud to say that I'm affiliated with all of these organizations. My passion is driven by my past. And so I just hope to be a light and a beacon of hope for not only the people that are going through the transition, but people that that are already on the front end helping, so they know that their work is not going in vain.
Oh,
That's it.
you got an unbelievable amount going on. Thank you so much. Could I just do a quick little follow-up question there?
Yes.
Tracy, you also talked about how that little seed of hope got planted in you. What can you say a little bit more, like, I don't know, what was going on? How did that little bit of hope get into your own heart and mind and soul?
It definitely permeated my heart, mind, spirit. When I was, first of all, I went in and out of the workhouse in 2016 battling addiction because I never was able to address the internal issues. That's why transformative justice is so important. And the facilitator of that class, at the time, her name was Brittany Connors. And it was something that she was more excited and enthusiastic about our future than we were. Right? And coming up in the African-American community, we're not really very keen on acknowledging our emotions. And so she made it okay for us to speak about the things that had hurt. She made it okay for us to be able to verbalize what was going on the inside so we could actually get to that. So when she told me one day, like, she cried when I told her I was going to prison. And it was just something about her saying, you know, you can do this. I have faith in you. That just sparked something in with me when at the time where I was so shaky and afraid and did not have that much faith in myself because I had let myself down so much. Every time I came home from the workhouse in 2016, I had the strongest desire to change, right? But my feet would lead me right back to the same environment, right? But it was just something about her planting that seed in me, right? That touched something that I placed within myself that I don't believe had been touched for the majority of my life. Coming from a background of sexual abuse, trauma, my father was an addict, you know, those type of things. I masked all of my emotions from the time I was 12 until the time that I entered that program. I had never had that long amount of clean time to even have a sober mind to even focus on any of that thing, because it was always trying to avoid my reality, right? So when she dropped that in me and we started kind of unpeeling the layers, she set the precedent, and then Center for Women in Transition, they just followed up with the rest. So I was able to be in that program for a year, and they didn't put any limits on me because I have a felony background or because I have addiction in my past. They basically was like, what is it that you want to do? And we set goals to achieve those things.
Yeah, phenomenal. Thank you so much. Maybe Lisa Yeagers, that probably tees you up pretty well. Tracy mentioned TJI, the Transformative Justice Initiative that comes in the realm of Lisa's guidance and so on. Do you want to spring off from there?
Sure. And Tracy, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm just so thankful for you and grateful for everything that you are doing, and you're just doing so phenomenal. So congratulations. And so, yeah, so I get to direct this Transformative Justice Initiative, and within that we have our occupational therapy transition and integration services. And so what Tracy was describing is exactly what happens. The background that I'm using today is a picture of MSI, the workhouse, one of the classrooms where we would do some of that education. And so starting pre-release, I think, is so key to help transition women to the community, to places like CWIT, and partner with them. And so it really has been a great fit. And some of the more specific things that we do in occupational therapy is we look at roles, habits, and routines. And so I think that's really at the core of it. And sometimes it's that missing link where we help people to develop those new roles that they'll have when they are released to the community. And even down to the nuts and bolts of having a 72-hour plan. Exactly what are you going to do when you walk out those doors to get a new ID, to go to substance use treatment, to apply for that job? You know, the list goes on and on. So it's through these partnerships with CWIT, for example, that really help the people that we work with to be successful. So my hopes are that these types of partnerships continue. I know in the midst of COVID-19, we're going to have some real impact on those roles, habits, and routines. And it's going to be so hard for people transitioning out of the local jails and prison to enter into this new atmosphere of what's going on. So the work is going to be even greater and possibly even more challenging. So I just thank everyone who's viewing this today and supporting CWIT in their work. So my hope is the work continues and continues to grow and get even better. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Lisa, your work and with others in the jails on that occupational therapy basis with the pre-release and the post-release support, and then networking with the partners like CWIT, that also, as that was emerging, then we were also kind of looking at different parts of St. Louis U within our Workforce Development Center that helps train people for IT jobs and things like this, but there was also an opportunity there to weave in that aspect of St. Louis U, the Workforce Development Center. And so we were blessed to be able to bring on Lisa Cohn here. Maybe I'll ask Lisa to continue the narrative here, because it's a little bit of the mindset here is how can we cultivate those personal relationships on the inside of the city, of the jails and prisons, and then what does it look like to try to do our best to make transitions of relationships ultimately into employment. So maybe Lisa, do you want to chat a little bit about that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Lisa Cohn, and I am the program manager for SLU's Transformative Workforce Academy. And our primary mission is to connect justice-involved job seekers to second chance employment. And so what that has looked like is we put on what we believe to be the largest second chance job fair in the country, where in past years we've connected 1,000 plus justice-involved job seekers to 77 second chance employers. We also recently launched a online job portal which is nice for these days when we unfortunately can no longer gather in large groups to do in-person employer meetings, but we do have a second chance job portal as well, where employers can create second chance job listings, and job seekers can go on there knowing that these listings are specifically for justice involved job seekers and that they won't be discriminated against because of that criminal record. So that's our work, and it's been essential to work with programs like Center for Women in Transition, as well as the other programs at St. Louis University, because just realizing that second chance employment it's a major part of the transition home, right? Like it's a central building block, not just from an income perspective, but in terms of those seeds of hope that Tracy so eloquently talked about, of just knowing that someone believes in you, and that the community is embracing you and willing to take a chance on you. And so it's such a core element, but as Tracy also eloquently mentioned, there's so many other elements that any of us need to make a change in our lives. I know, anytime I have made a fundamental change in my life, it has been the result of dozens of relationships with people and who have really invested in me in different ways, and everyone has different skill sets and different things to offer. And so in criminal justice reform, it's that much more important to have just an army of different people and organizations doing hitting their different target areas and working together well. And so I know from my end, working with clients from TJI, clients from Center for Women in Transition, like those clients like often come to me and they have great resumes ready to go. They have this support system around them of a case manager and people who are talking to them about their other needs, so that when they're applying for employment, they are ready to go. They can know, they can sell themselves to employers, and they know, and I can confidently talk to employers and say, this client is really going to succeed on the job. I can vouch for them. I know they have a support system supporting them. And so that collaboration is just so important. And so thank you to everyone here tonight for supporting CWIT, because without them, my work would be a lot more difficult.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, getting a handle on weaving together these relationships and networks of relationships, and how essential that is in this whole landscape. I mean, that's in many ways, that's kind of what we're trying to talk about here. Maybe in a different way, to pivot a little bit, from a different sort of experience or context, might turn to Dr. Jen Bello-Cottonsteady from our School of Medicine, and a unique angle into this reality that we're talking about with respect to medical care, healthcare within the jails, and certainly the relationality involved in that. But do you want to say a little bit about your work there, Jen?
Yeah, sure. So, and I joined St. Louis University in 2016, started working at the St. Louis County Jail, providing primary care services there. I'm also a physician researcher, so my previous area of focus was around reproductive health for women in primary care. So when I started working in the corrections setting, I realized that there were numerous unmet needs for women who were justice involved, and specifically those with substance use disorders in terms of thinking about their reproductive well-being. So that kind of launched me into making connections with Lisa, the Transformative Justice Initiative, and sort of kind of developing some educational programs and working to develop a research program to help women think about if and when they might want to become pregnant, and talking about empowering them to not only avoid pregnancy until they're ready, but also to think about how to improve their overall health and get treatment for substance use disorders, thinking about how that will impact their future family and a potential future pregnancy if they want to. So one of the things that was most striking to me when I started was just how asking a woman a patient of mine who I would take care of in the jail clinic, if they wanted to become pregnant someday, it was empowering to them, because for a lot of those women, no one had ever asked them that, or people may assume that they wouldn't get pregnant or they shouldn't get pregnant, or they might have a bad outcome if they got pregnant. So through those conversations, that kind of motivated me to go down this line of research. And so right now, Lisa Yeagers and I have just got a small pilot study to try to study how justice-involved men's experiences with substance-using behaviors can influence the behaviors of their significant other. So we're finding out that, as you may expect, that these relationships are incredibly important in women adopting behavior change and improving their health before and during pregnancy. So it's a really exciting area for me. I have a lot of reward just kind of providing the patient care, working with patients, but then also using kind of the findings and my relationships with my patients to inform looking at this from a bigger perspective to try to develop some interventions for women and men.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you so much. All right, well, continuing down the line here, maybe we can pivot from the med school to the law school here. Lauren Choate is a social worker who works in one of our legal clinics. And Lauren, maybe you could describe a little bit about the context of your work within in some pretty acute circumstances and pivotal moments, obviously, and vulnerable moments in people's lives. You want to say a little bit?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Lauren Choate. I work at St. Louis University's Criminal Defense Clinic. I work there with Susan McGraw, who's an attorney, and she supervises law students at the clinic. I am a social worker who supervises Masters of Social Work students there, and we operate a holistic criminal defense clinic. We started off representing folks who had smaller charges, mostly around behaviors that came from an acute mental health crisis. And the longer that we've been doing this, the more serious charges we've picked up. We do a lot of federal cases now, a lot of high-level felonies. And besides the zealous legal representation that the attorneys and the law students provide, we also then are working on trying to provide a context for the alleged behavior that our clients are being charged for. So we come to it with an attitude of most of the alleged offenses that we're representing did not occur in a silo. Most of these are responses to poverty, racism, a lot of trauma, and really our clients, we think, are doing pretty well considering the circumstances that they've grown up in, that they're living in, and that they're currently dealing with. So in addition to the legal representation, we also try and show the courts that there's a context that this behavior occurred in, and that prison isn't the best or response to that behavior. That for the most part, people don't change when they are punished in a way that takes them away from their community, away from their family, and doesn't provide them resources. So we attempt to humanize this human and to also show the court that there's other things out there that they can do besides prison. If, because the alleged offense is so serious that the courts aren't amenable to that, then we work to try and show that they don't need a long prison sentence, and that what's more important is the resources they're connected to once they get out, which is why this community is so important. And I've sent so many women over to CWIT, and I've shared clients with the Transformative Justice Initiative, and no one can do this alone. So I'm really excited that so many people are here and celebrating CWIT.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Dr. Paul Lynch from our English department at St. Louis U, and currently the director of the prison program here in a sort of a different context, especially in state, but I think also somewhat in federal prisons. Can you describe a little bit about what the work of the prison ed program is?
Sure. Thanks, Chris, for having us all. Yeah, so I'm Paul Lynch, and I direct the prison education program. And basically, we offer a series of programs at two major facilities, one a state men's prison in Bonne Terre, Missouri, and the other the Federal Corrections Institution in Greenville, Illinois. The flagship program happens at Bonne Terre, and that's the Associate of Arts degree, which is a 2-year degree that we offer not only to incarcerated students at Bonne Terre, which is a medium to high security prison, but also we offer the same programming to the corrections staff who work at that prison, right? And this is all offered free of charge through the generosity of SLU and a lot of donors and foundation support. So the main place we probably impact women especially are two in the staff courses, where a lot of the students are women, and also at the Greenville Institution, which has a women's camp for women who are just about finishing their sentences. And so we offer the Associate of Arts degree, which is the 2-year degree, SLU classes taught by SLU faculty for SLU credit, the exact same courses a student at St. Louis University would be taking if they were in the College of Arts and Sciences. And then we offer a couple of other non-credit programs as well. Chris asked us to talk a little bit about what gives us hope and then the challenges we're facing. Maybe I'll do that in reverse order. The biggest challenges my colleagues have talked about is working in prisons and jails. And right now that challenge is even greater because of the pandemic. We have just basically stopped everything for the moment. The jails or the prisons rather where we work are essentially closed down, trying to prevent the spread of the virus. Right now, thanks be to God, there is no case of coronavirus at the main prison where we work. But you know, these jails or prisons rather are overcrowded. They are understaffed, and so we're just hoping that their precautions hold. But in normal times, the thing that makes me most hopeful about doing this work is I'll just tell a brief story. We do academic advising every year with our students, both the incarcerated and staff students. So I was inside talking to one of our incarcerated students who was showing me pictures of his kids. He was showing me a picture of his daughter who was college age and was thinking about maybe not continuing. And he was saying, you know, I keep telling her, if I can do this, I'm getting a college education, right? If I can do this, surely, you know, in here, you can do this out there, right? A couple weeks later, I was talking to one of our staff students who has 3 little kids and asking her about her future plans and for education. She said, I'm not sure, I'm raising my family. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree yet. But the main thing I know I'm going to be able to do is when those kids go to college, right, I'm going to be able to tell them, if your mother could do this, right, you yourself could do this. And that connection to you know, see this, that both the incarcerated and staff students, I think it reminds us that one of the ways incarceration affects people is this, that when people go to prison, especially when women go to prison, their entire families and especially their children essentially go with them, right? The generational impacts are enormous. So I think the thing that gives me the biggest hope, besides the fact that prison education reduces recidivism massively, is the generational effect we hope this has, so that if the educations our students may receive may make it much less likely that their families will continue to be impacted by incarceration. So I'm grateful for the chance to talk about this and what SLU does. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you all. That's a great overview of all sorts of different things, and even just very, very briefly getting such a sense of of the complexity and the nuance and the challenges, but the beauty of so much of this kind of work, and extending those seeds of hope into lives, and the ripple effect of that dimension, and from all sorts of different angles. I don't know about you all, it's just a constant challenge to try to keep learning what all, even from essentially kind of at a distance for myself, trying to keep learning about all the different initiatives and people and works and efforts that are present in our community. I mean, it's actually phenomenal. The needs are phenomenal too, but the amount of personal human resources and intelligence and generosity and so on is really just amazing. And so I think that's part of what we're doing here, is celebrating in a special way what CWIT, what a crucial role CWIT plays in this whole community. I don't know, by way of kind of any follow-up thoughts or wrap-up thoughts, or I don't know, Tracy, maybe it's good to go back to you and just kind of hear a little bits of tidbits of those other offerings. How do you respond, or what are you thinking or feeling there?
No, I just wanted to tell everyone that is watching that, what you're doing by supporting this organization is actually changing not just the life or the society, but it's actually changing the world. Because one woman gets a second chance at life, like they said, it's the family, it's the children, it's everyone that comes in contact with them. And then not only do we have just the women in the Barbara Baker House, but there are 26 or 27 women in the Shermer House. So these are all, this is a plethora, like this is a nice amount of women lives are being changed by this organization. And it takes a lot of work to put into it, but the benefit of coming out of it is so fruitful and amazing. So I just congratulate each and every one of you all that are here watching this, for being a part of something that is actually changing the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Amen. Okay, we're probably not going to say much more beyond that. All right. I think that's a pretty great place to end. So thank you, Tracy. Thanks to all the SLU colleagues here. Thanks to everybody who's been watching, and just that word of encouragement. Let's all just continue to try to keep learning and being creative and being generous in every possible way that we can do that, financially and otherwise too. So and let's all keep trying to stay connected with each other and build up this whole network of really a culture of support and love and hope for everybody that we're talking about, and that especially that CWIT serves. So thank you all. Take care. God bless you all. And thanks for taking time. All right. Bye-bye.